So here I am, my nice camp bed. Seems quite a nice mattress. I've got my sleeping bag. I've got my clothes and well wrapped up. Here I am with a roof over my head, and yet the reality is I'm still going to miss certain things, I guess, tonight. I'm missing central heating already. I can feel a bit of draft around the ears. I'll miss, I would say, duvet at some stage during the night, and I'm guessing with the amount of noise and stuff that I'll probably miss a good bit of sleep as well. This year it would be so easy just to think all the time about all the things that we're missing out on, all the limitations that we have. We've been very focused all year on the limitations that are on our lives. Things that we'd normally want to do and normally be able to do, we can't really do at the moment. And so let me try and use the whole idea of limitations to again take you to the Christmas story, because at the heart of this Christmas story is also this incredible truth about God who limits himself. Philippians chapter 2 is an incredible chapter where it talks about Jesus being in very nature God, equal with God. He is God. That's where it starts. And then it says, but he made himself nothing. Literally, that is that he emptied himself. He limited himself. He took a lot of things out of his nature and his being and his character, and he emptied himself of them. Now, think about that for a moment. We're talking about someone who is omnipotent. There's a big word. All powerful. The one who spoke and the whole of the universe was created. He's the one who decides to empty himself of his omnipotent power, and instead he becomes a baby. Jesus in heaven would have been omnipresent, another big theological word. He could be everywhere and anywhere, wasn't limited to one time or place, and yet when he comes into the stable, he limits himself to that one place, that one frail human body, giving up that. There's just two things. How much of his whole nature and being did he empty himself of? How many limitations did he place upon himself as he came? That passage in Philippians talked about how he comes and he emptied himself, and he took on our human flesh, and he became a servant, and he humbled himself, because, let's be honest, he only does this because he's incredibly humble at heart. That's the very nature of who he shows himself to be. He's willing to place limits upon himself. He's willing to take on these huge limitations so that he can become one who can save us. And so he limits himself. He humbles himself. He takes on our flesh, and he comes right down, submits himself to death, even death on a cross, it says. That's how much he loves us. That he goes out of his way for us. He leaves his home. He leaves behind so much of who he is, and he limits himself in so many ways so that he can come into our human frailty and weakness, so that he can become one of us, so that he can die in our place, pay for our sin. So when you think about all the limitations that are frustrating you at the minute, maybe it gives you a little insight into what it was like for Jesus to be limited. Silent Night, one of the carols that we use frequently. The last line of the first verse, it uses that phrase a couple of times, sleeping in heavenly peace. And it has this picture of, the tranquility and the perfection of this stable where you have this baby just sleeping in heavenly peace. And that's such an untrue picture. Actually, Jesus left behind the heavenly peace to come into the broken terribleness of this world, sleeping in heavenly peace. And they could have done that and stayed away from us, but instead he comes into our lives, into our reality, to make war on our behalf, war against Satan and evil and death and sin. He limits himself, gives up so much, humbles himself so far, does it all for you and for me. So let's not limit our understanding or limit our vision or limit our worship. Let's see who truly has come to us at Christmas. Let's worship this Saviour child, this Son of God, this one who humbled himself for us.
What child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping? This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. Why lies he in such mean estate, where ox and ass are feeding? Good Christian, fear for sin.